Hi gang, Chalice here, or Chalice back. Um, you probably figured by now. Well, first of all, today's star date is 44411.1645. 44411.1645, or August 3rd, 2021, approximately 4:45 in the afternoon. Lots of fours. Play some fours in the lottery. So, in case you haven't guessed, I didn't just disappear on my own. I have been given a second strike on this channel, strike two, on the channel. So, which means I had 2 weeks, could not upload and could not stream, couldn't do anything but watch. Could make comments if there are comments to comment on, but so yeah, that was strike two. The next strike, and it's gone. It's done. And sadly, my channel is not big enough to come back, like a couple others have. They had a lot of higher viewership and such, and YouTube brought the channels back for some reason. I don't know. Maybe the strikes expired. My strikes. The first strike expires October 4th. So in 2 months. If nothing happens in 2 months, the first strike will go back. So I'll have another strike available. So it is what it is. I'm considering moving to other places. I did start a Rumble account. Haven't uploaded anything. From what I hear from others, that maybe it's probably not the best, but others have said certainly DLive is better than Rumble. Maybe Rumble is just too new, or it's having its own issues. But so I'm gonna look into DLive. I'm already on Rockfin, but I haven't uploaded anything there yet because I haven't. It's uploads don't go quickly. I am not paying an arm and a leg for super high speed upload speed. So it's the little 5 the little 5M I get upload doesn't go very fast. So anyway, welcome back. Glad you're back, and thank you for watching. And you could like and subscribe, and also click the little ding-a-ling bell. That way, the times when I do get to upload a video, you'll get notified that I did. So you can watch and hopefully find out some things. I know I'm pretty much preaching to the choir, but maybe some of these things is stuff nobody else is talking about, but it's here, and it's not part of the current events thing, but it's stuff that's kind of behind the scenes that all this other crap is in front. It's all on the news and everything, and talking about it and how whatever it is. But this is kind of behind the scenes. Nobody's really paying attention to, because nobody really knows. They don't have access to that information because our media does not has decided not to say anything bad about those who pay their salaries. So yes, bought and paid for media. So anyway, I did come across something that it came from the geez, you'd think I would have spent time learning how to work this thing. So that's you can't read it. Anyway, Florida Bar News. There's a Florida Bar News, the August this year issue, and the part of the argument, the article is talking about remote hearings versus in-person hearings, and what's happening with it, what they should do with it, and so on and so forth. One portion of this article is what I want to get to, because it basically, this judge in the article summarizes the elitist attitude of the judiciary, and how it was, the holier than thou attitude, and that they want to present themselves as basically godlike, without actually saying so. But what they describe essentially sets themselves to be in that position. And so this judge is named Judge Rondolino, Rondolino, Judge Rondolino. Don't know where he's from. He's probably a 6th Judicial Circuit Chief Judge, Anthony Rondolino, the 6th Circuit. So that's the state trial court. I'm not sure where in the state of Florida the 6th Circuit is. Here in Orlando, we're in the 9th Circuit. So I don't know where the 6th is, if it goes from north to south. Doesn't really matter, does it? Because he's the chief judge of that circuit court, which is the state trial courts. And that's important, what a trial court or an appeals court, but that's another video there. So anyway, that's who he is, and this is what he says. Overall, he thinks that having Zoom meetings or digital meetings or whatever, rather than in-person meetings, has a corrosive effect. That's the title of his section on the attitudes towards the judiciary, because he says video conferencing will have a corrosive effect on the third branch. Compared with the executive branch and law enforcement agencies, judges have relatively little power to enforce their authority, he says. Well, of course, when they have no authority they have no power at all. Their only role is to render opinions, and so they were intentionally designed to be the weakest of the three branches. Intentionally designed to be the weakest of the three branches precisely because of what Thomas Jefferson warned us about this, because they will insidiously become the gods. They will have say and rule over, or claim say and rule over everything, if we don't strictly keep them in check. I mean, strictly keep them in check. So, and we have not done so. And by the way, judges are not lifetime appointments. They can be fired just like anybody else can be fired for bad behavior, and that is mentioned specifically. So they're not in there for life. Fortunately, there are in some elections you can select not to re-elect or not to keep his position, but really that's meaningless. The only way to do that is to call for a removal from the bench, and nobody's going to do that because we've all been indoctrinated to think they're untouchable, really, and they're just big old magical being, and they're not. They're no different. They're not any different from us. For many of us, they're the same human beings. They sleep, they eat, they hit the bathrooms. No different. Yeah, they've gone to school and had to work their brains a little bit harder than most of us, but the law school just teaches things that aren't really all that correct anyway. So, but that's all. They've worked their brains a little harder. So, and they played the politics a little better to get where they are, because this is not, you don't get to be in his position by skill alone. There's politics. You get to be a chief judge, and to move up beyond that, it's anyway. So he's saying they have relatively little power. So by video conferencing, what little power they have gets eroded away. It gets corroded. Well, they're not supposed to have any power. This guy seems a little power hungry to me, but I shall continue. He says, what backs up the trial judge's pronouncements in court and the signature on orders is the perception of the court's authorities and powers. See, here it is. Let me read it again. What backs up their signatures and on orders and such is the perception That word, perception, about the court's authority and powers. This is exactly what I'm trying to say. The judiciary has set them up so that people perceive them as being overlords, basically. They rule all. What the judge says is written in stone. And that was their intention, which is really quite elitist. But whatever label you put on it, that was their intention, to make people think, they're it. They're the it. What they say it goes, that's it, no more. And that's what he's talking about. The perception of the people, what the people have to the judiciary. That's the only thing that gives backing, that gives power to their signatures on orders. And no, that's not what gives power to the signature on orders. What gives power to the signature on orders is fulfilling what the statutes say or what the Constitution say. If you give a signature on an order that is contrary to a statute or the Constitution, then that signature has no weight. That order has no weight. It cannot have any weight because judges cannot make law. I know I've said that in many other videos. So they want us to have a perception that as soon as they sign something, it's a done deal, and they're the ones that know about, and they can't be questioned. And they're signed. That's it. It has the power of enforcement just because they signed it. No, please, no. Break out of that perception. And it's done on purpose. I got a little bit more to read. And it's done on purpose. So that is not, yes, that may be the perception they want people to have. But that is not what we should have. We should know that the judges are not the be-all, end-all rulers and gods of everything. They are not. Again, they have been intentionally designed to be the weakest branch of the three. So, and their job is to render opinions. And then what I want to talk, this article, when I'm talking about this article, I don't want to get into the idea that judges are rendering orders and signing orders and rules and such on things that they got no business doing. So we're not going to get into that this time. I think I would like to, like family law, criminal. But let's not go in there because that's a whole other thing. So he wants to have the perception that what they say is law. It has they're the ultimate authority. That's what he wants. And he says they're trying to keep that perception. But no, do not, I'm telling you, please, do not buy into that perception. It is not true. They have no more authority to tell people what to do than I have to tell you what to do. Or you to tell me, or you to tell your neighbor. They can't tell you what to do. That's not their job. So they have no authority to take things from you. Other than through what's been defined in statute. By statute and by Constitution. And not by other case law. Case law has to be consistent. It's only stare decisis. It's only precedent if it follows statute and Constitution. And if the statute is in conflict with the Constitution, then the statute's no good, then it's the Constitution. That is the ultimate. So he's concerned about the perception about the court's authority and powers. The court does not have any power. Court does not have any authority except to render an opinion and follow what the statute, and apply what the statutes say. That's it. That's it. Don't buy into it. They have a lot of symbolism here, and he's going to tell you some of what that symbolism is. They got a lot of symbolism to try to convince you that they are above all. They are not. Do not buy into it. Do not buy into it. It's so. Let me continue what he says. So, and these are quotes, by the way. This is a quote. There is a reason various societies with judicial systems include signs and symbols reinforcing this perception. Signs, unquote. Signs and symbols. Oh my God, are we getting to Illuminati now? Signs and symbols. But we're not talking about the squiggly lines and such. There are other ways to have signs, which he will get into in just a minute. But they are intentionally pushing that perception with signs and signals. Instead of being just straightforward, this is what we're going to say, this is what the statute says, this is how we're going to do, and you're off to whatever, and that's it. They're not sticking to that. Now they want to push that perception that they're overlords, that they're the gods, that what they say goes, with signs and symbols. Disgusting. He says Zoom hearing send a different signal. But here are some of the signs and symbols. The judge's robe, that they wear a robe. That it's black. The black robe. Oh, that is a centuries old symbol, of power, inherent power. And I'm pretty sure people with actually brains that I don't have, can come up with deeper symbols and which go subconsciously. So the judge's robe, the elevated bench. You always it's always up above you, like they rule over you. That is that symbolism. I mean, how can you be any more obvious than that? They rule over you. No, nobody rules over people. The government doesn't rule over people. This government that we have here, this constitutional republic, does not rule the people. People rule themselves. The government is only to protect the people from outsiders trying to steal the prosperity and the liberty from the citizens of this country. That's the government's job, to be the umbrella to protect the people and their rights, so that that's their job. But it's people make their own rules, not the government. The government does not make the rules. People make the rules. Anyway, so where was I? Yes. The judge's robe, the elevated bench, the impressive courtroom. Oh, yes, if you've ever been to a courtroom for whatever reason, or you've seen it on the People's Court or some other court thing, it's always immaculate. It's huge. It's like the throne room, like the royalty throne room, the king and queen's throne room. Huge, immaculate. That's another symbol to try to push. You know what that process is called? That process is called brainwashing. Yes, they use symbols to brainwash you to think. Look it up. Look up in the dictionary. That's the process of brainwashing, by using those symbols to enforce a perception that is not true. Okay, so the impressive courtroom, the great state seal on the wall. Oh yes, very, very big. Behind them, you see that big seal, the state of Florida, the state of Missouri, the state of Indiana, the state of California, state of New Mexico. The biggest seal of the state. Yes, they rule. All of that is meant to show how these things rule over the people. They are made to make you feel, when you're in that courtroom, small and insignificant. Like you mean nothing. They're everything. You're nothing. What they say goes. You got to follow it. And yes or no, sir, whatever you say, sir, how high do you want me to jump? These are all symbols designed intentionally to brainwash your head, your thinking, your perception that you're nothing and they're everything. It is. I mean, I'm reading it. That's what these symbols do. And that's why they use them. And the bailiff saying, all rise. Yeah, all rise. What do they want? We have to rise for the king, right? Do these judges want us to kneel and kiss their ring too? His or her ring too? Is that what they want? Bet some do. You ask this judge. I don't want to speculate on what judges want. I'm only going by what they say. But by the time you get to that position, and you're in that position for a long time, How can you not? It cannot. They themselves have been indoctrinated to think that they're the elitist, that they're the superior. It's just, you can't help it. They're in it all day long. I think maybe we don't need to have judges in there for any more than a few years. So this is the problem with the judiciary, and they have been brainwashing people over however long they have to get them to feel this way, that the people are nothing. You get in that court, you feel like so small and insignificant, and they rule everything, the big, majestic, everything. They have it all. They're everything. You're nothing. Whatever they say goes. You got to follow it. That's it. So, no, don't let it. And really, when you go in there, I've been in there for jury and to testify for, as an expert witness, and you kind of feel that way, and I can empathize with the defendant, because I knew my role wasn't, I was just as a support, but the defendant was the one who was basically being attacked, legally attacked. So so I could feel for them. You can feel how small you're made to feel, but it takes. I'll tell you, it takes some doing to break out of that perception. It really, really does. You go into a courtroom, well, they don't let you do that anymore. But before you go into a courtroom and you find out, you feel it, it will take an effort, an actual mental effort to break out of that perception. Because the first thing you do when you walk in there, you want to feel like this. You want to feel like this. And it takes work. You don't automatically do that. It takes work to break out of that. And really takes some courage too, to break out and to say, no, it is not this way. I refuse to accept that. In spite of all you're trying to push on me, I refuse to accept that you are powerful, more powerful, that you are above me, that you are superior to me. You are not. No one is more superior to another one. Just because they went to school and worked their brains a little bit differently, and had to work them for other types of things. I mean, you work your brain on the assembly line or whatever you do, or hammering a nail or putting up bricks. You still got to use your brain. So they just do something different. They are no better than you are. If you're a bricklayer, have a judge try to lay bricks. You can lay bricks around them and bury them, right? I mean, that just came out of the blue. You're a plumber, you're an electrician. Let the judge hook up an air conditioner, right? No. So that doesn't, just because they have all these symbols to try to convince you of something that's not real, doesn't mean you have to follow it. You do not have to accept it. It's an illusion. Take off the glasses. It's an illusion. An illusion. Break out of the illusion. There's, in the back of my head, there's some movie or something that says, it's a glamour. So refuse to look at the glamour. Look beyond the surface. They are no better than you. We've allowed them to have authority they should not have. And certainly you're not going to go in there and disrupt the courtroom, because even though you may be right, they have people in there with guns, and they will haul your butt away. I'm sorry. So you do have to, have some civility in there, but it's all in your head, though. But what's in your head is what counts. And they can't mess with that yet. That's what's in your head. Not that you're physically going to disrupt everything, but your attitude in there, you don't have to follow that indoctrination that they're pushing on you, that glamour that they're trying to push into your head. You don't have to let it. Wake up to it. Open your eyes, because I tell you, once you see it, once all that's gone, it becomes a whole different story. But I'll tell you, if you've never been in a courtroom, you open those doors and you go in. The first thing without even consciously thinking, you'll realize that at least mentally, you'll want to do like this. It does really make you try to do that. So this judge, Rondolino, he is afraid. Well, he is saying that the video conferencing has a corrosive effect on that perception, on trying to enforce that perception. Is corroded by these video conferences because because it's all part of an age-old formula designed to inculcate respect for authority and a willingness to comply. You see, what did I just say earlier? A willingness to comply. So it's like they know it all. You're nothing. What they say goes. You got to follow it. That's it. That's what I just said. That I've just been saying that almost this whole video. A willingness to comply. It's forcing you into a willingness to comply. It's don't. Don't. It takes some effort. It takes some mental effort to break out of that glamour, so that and don't be willing to comply just because they said so. Just because somebody says so, do not have to comply. You don't have to. That's the whole point of this. The way this country was made, you don't have to comply just because they said so. No. So he's saying that that formula is corroded because the through video conferencing, the judges become are becoming talking heads on a TV screen, conjured up with little fanfare or inconvenience. Totally erodes the vital aspect of our system. So even the inconvenience of having to go to the courtroom and having to be there and go through the ceremony of getting in there and all rise and all of that is meant to make you feel insignificant, to make them feel superior. And then for them to feel superior, that means if they got to be up there, you got to go down here. Otherwise, that's and the Jews, they have that balance, right? Well, if they're up on this side, what does make this side go down? So balance does not make equal. This is balanced too. This is balanced with this one elevated over this one, ruling over. That's the symbology. They want to show you how they rule over you. Sorry, and you're nothing, and you got to take what they say because they say it. Please don't break out of that glamour. It takes some mental effort. You have to make an effort nearly every minute you're there, but it can be done. It takes some effort, and it takes what else? Courage. So do not buy into the judiciary elitism. And and always, even in the courtroom, stay courageous.